Hey, Easy Agent Pro listeners, this is Tyler here, and in this episode of In the Lead, we're interviewing Jed Carlson. Some of you may be familiar with his brand Adwerx. It's this really cool real estate technology that has just come up in the last few years and is really sort of disrupting the way advertising is working online for individual agents. Pretty cool background for Jed. He started Reverb Nation, which grew to millions and millions of listeners and visitors a month on that site, and now he's in the real estate space. So I'm excited to welcome Jed to the program, sort of extract the knowledge he has for both growing businesses and then growing businesses inside the real estate space. If you've been listening to our show, we kind of like to make that very clear that you as an individual agent are running a business first that just so happens to sell real estate. So Jed, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Did I miss anything up in that bio at all?
No, you nailed it. I've got I think an interesting background. I hear a lot of people come to real estate, take winding roads to get there, but mine passed through the music industry, where at Reverb Nation we helped bands and musicians sort of make their way and make progress in the music industry. And a lot of the things we did, a lot of the tools we built, and a lot of things we learned turned out to be actually kind of quite applicable to real estate agents as well.
That's actually pretty, I mean, I myself have a master's in clarinet performance, so I've been there. That's cool. So taking what you learned from, I guess, helping musicians, individual musicians market themselves, right?
Yep.
A lot of them are starting out probably like an individual real estate agent is, with maybe a couple $100 in their pocket to start marketing and need to start building this sphere around themselves. What would you say to an agent maybe in that first, second year, sort of grinding it out, that maybe you learned from that music industry, or just what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think my advice is probably, no different than a lot of people's, which is, you first become a student of what it is that your craft is, right? So if you're just in the business, it'd be a great time to join a team or to, find a mentor or something, someone who can show you the right way to develop relationships and grow your book of business, and maybe even has, some business that you can feed off of if they're busy or et cetera. And I'm sure that gets bandied about a lot, but it does seem like an apprenticeship or a student approach to starting is the right way to go. But I recognize a lot of people don't have, time to wait to make a living. They can't afford to sit and wait. And I think that creates, a different set of challenges for agents who have an urgency.
Right. So in starting with that urgency, is there anything that you can give them, some low-hanging fruits to knock out on that lead gen tree? It could be tech related. It could be, what would you recommend there?
I think the first thing you need to do is really define who your customer is going to be. So we did we put together a customer personas kind of worksheet that an agent can fill out. And it's amazing what happens and the clarity you get when you make a conscious decision about who it is you want to serve. And it clears away a lot of the clutter because, let's face it, the people you want to serve, at first you'll say, I'll take any customers.
Right.
But the truth is, the ones that you're gonna resonate with are ones that have things in common with you. Do you like Little League Baseball? Well, then maybe you should get involved with the team. Mm-hmm. Do you like, are you a musician, for example? Then maybe you should try to get into that community. I mean, the cool thing about being a real estate agent is everybody needs to buy or sell a home. It's not limited to just rich people or poor people or musicians. It's everybody from every walk of life. So define that customer, I think, is a great first start.
Yeah, that's a great point. We talk a lot about at the blog of if you don't have a focus, then, everyone's your target, and it can get a little depressing, at least mentally. You can't really know how to take that next step. But once you start going down a niche, you start finding side opportunities inside that niche that you just were completely blind to when you were accepting everyone. It just becomes white noise and too broad at that point.
In other words, I would say don't be a trout. So a trout sits in the river next to the fast water so that they can take any opportunity that comes past to eat something.
Right.
Like, don't be a trout. It's a frustrating one.
What should you be then? Is it a shark? Something that's always swimming, never moving? Yeah.
Find your targets and sort of, circle them and relentlessly be present to them.
Right. And that's sort of a good bridge to sort of the next phase in real estate is, after you've grinded it out for that first year, you hopefully have some recurring business, and that's pillar number one. Then you have, a couple other streams that you can build up. But let's get into like tech things that you can do as an agent to start taking your business to the next level. I know what's your goal at Adwerx in terms of helping agents out with your platform?
Yeah. So our goal is to make sure that everybody in the local, every home shopper in the local market, buyer or seller, is aware that you exist. So we think of, we're marketers at heart, or I am at least a digital marketer. And so we think of the world in terms of funnels, right? Everything's a funnel to us.
Right.
And Adwerx is designed to help you at the top of the funnel, which is if they don't know you, there's no chance they can convert, right? You're not even in the conversation. So Adwerx wants to get you in the conversation at the kitchen table when husband and wife are saying, who should we work with? And then there are other companies that work further down the funnel. That's what CRM companies can help you with, and that's what lead gen can do. Lead gen is very much at the bottom of the funnel. And then the most important, and I think most often overlooked, is how do you tap your sphere of friends, family, customers, neighbors, coworkers, because the people, like I said, everybody is buying and selling houses. It's not limited. You want to tap the people that want to help you, and you want to make it easy for them to send you business. Really, really easy for them to send you business.
So what's that mean though in our current economy where we're sort of inundated with information? A lot of leads have a lot of options. They're probably searching on the big home portals. Like, what does an agent have to do to earn that business?
Yeah, I think so. I give a talk once in a while around how I think that confidence is the currency of the real estate agent. So in this analogy, I relate the real estate agent to a Sherpa. And the Sherpa is, being entrusted with your life, your most valuable asset, to get you to the top of the mountain. I think that's what a real estate agent is to most people. And the way you choose a Sherpa is how much confidence you have in them to take you up the mountain safely. So ways that build confidence, repetitive exposure. I think that in the tech world that we live in, honestly, ratings. What's your star rating? How many testimonials do you have? I mean, if you ever let a client get away from you without giving you a testimonial and then publishing it, you're probably doing it wrong, right? So when you get those social cues and that social proof, using technology to amplify that out to the local network, those are the ways tactically that I think you can build confidence, or you can create confidence. You can build confidence in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's sort of the loop of the marketing. Because you're talking about confidence up here in terms of like top of the funnel, but really we talk to coaches all the time, and like, the only way you're going to convert these leads at like the bottom of the funnel, even after the lead's been generated, is with that trust. Trust, confidence, whatever you want to call it. Right. They're finding the information out anywhere else. Like, information isn't what agents have the keys to anymore. It's, it's facilitating that transaction, like you said, and the only thing that matters there is the trust and, authority that comes with that.
Yeah, I think that, if I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going to sell my house, I only really want, I use two criteria to choose my agent. One is, do I like them? Like, do I feel like we connect and they're going to treat me right and keep me up to date, or we're going to work together well. Right. I'm not going to be annoyed by them. And the second one is, do I think that they have what it takes to do the job and sell my house for the most possible money and the quickest? And that's it. So, can they do it, and can we get along in the process?
Yeah. So obviously that relationship stuff is like, that's not what we're here to coach about, but we can help you with the trust. So let's dive deep on that. This isn't Dr. Phil. That's on ABC or NBC, whatever that is. But what are some concrete ways? You mentioned reviews. You mentioned following them around. Let's dive deep on like what we can do to build that trust with individual buyers and sellers in the marketplace at sort of the top of funnel.
Sure. I think that I'll throw out some more jargon or terms, but. Right. Once you've got that validation, you've got that social proof, you've got a star rating, or you've got a testimonial, or you've got a presence, how the way you build confidence is through repeated exposure, right? That's why they put yard signs in the yard, right? So that people driving by every day see the brand over and over again. What Adwerx actually aims to do, we're one of a lot of companies that can do it, is to take that brand and to literally make sure that you're following those people around the web wherever they go to drive that repeated exposure, because repetition creates familiarity and familiarity breeds confidence. And especially if that repetitive message is social proof that somebody else says you're awesome, right? And you could do that offline too. I mean, that's the art of asking for referrals from people you know that loved working with you or that know you. But online, it's retargeting is, I think, the term, the jargon that people will be familiar with. And that seems to work really, really well in general at creating confidence.
So is retargeting, from your point of view, all about creating that trust in order to move the client down the funnel, or is it about lead gen? Because I think a lot of agents think it's about lead gen specifically.
I think lead gen is the gravy on top. I think it's about creating the trust. I remember the first time I had a retargeting experience. It was several years ago, and I went to this what I thought was a little company. I went to their website, and then I began to see their ads on the New York Times and ESPN. I mean, their ads were everywhere, and they were on massive sites. And I thought, I missed this company. I was wrong about this company. They're much more successful than I thought. And I immediately called the business development guy and said, I want to do a deal with you. And it was because I got retargeted. So I've had the experience of confidence building. When you see somebody's brand everywhere, your brain starts to train, and they must be successful. They must be doing something right. Other people must love working with them. They must, it builds confidence. That's all I can say. And does that impact lead gen? Yeah, I'm sure it does. Right. It's hard to draw a hard line between the two, but it can't not.
Yeah, so let's break down this funnel, because I don't think a lot of agents are familiar with it. I think you and I would both call it, inbound marketing or attraction-based marketing or content marketing. Any of those things seem to be the word of the day for that type of attraction. But so we talk of the top of the funnel, and that's where they're sort of knowing about you and just sort of learning that XYZ at Keller Williams or ABC at Coldwell Banker exists and that it has your face on it. What comes after that?
Yeah, I think existence is first, and then that repetitive exposure to start building that trust, so that you go from being aware to actually being in the consideration set when somebody needs a realtor, right? So, and then after that, as you get down, I think lead gen is a really important element. I mean, we don't sell lead gen, but it is a critical part. And that revolves around very tactical things like, what's your website like? What's your landing page experience? Do you have click to call? Do you have, I've seen so many realtors put up a form that has 85 fields in it before you can talk to them.
Yep.
And it's like, what is that all about? I mean, make it simple for people to say, call me or contact me. And let them tell you how they'd like to be contacted, so that you do it the way they prefer.
So it goes then from this sort of top of the funnel where it can be, let's flesh that out. So that can be social media, finding out about you. That can be retargeting like Adwerx, pulling them in from portals. They found a property, they found your name, they're at your site. And then after that comes the lead gen piece, where it's all about your website being friendly enough to actually encourage them to talk to you. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. I mean, even the small stuff matters. Like the agents that have been sort of smart enough to figure out a phone number that can be easily remembered, like 1-800 Carlson. That's the kind of stuff that will help your lead gen, because it's those little things that get in the way of people actually connecting with you. It's, I don't know how to call that person. You know what? I'm just going to call someone else that I know.
Yeah.
How do you clear all that clutter out and make it simple? And I think that's right. So awareness, trust or brand building, repetition, and then lead gen.
Right, and then that should translate down under the sort of lead gen part two, when they start talking about all these conversion tactics for having the leads in the CRM in the follow-up process there. So what does Adwerx then offer? So it seems like Adwerx is then about building that sort of brand awareness. So if someone does find you one-off time on SEO or one-off time on social media, that brings them back to the funnel. Is that sort of so you're connecting that loop of the marketing process? That's right.
We're trying to make sure that once they've been identified as a person of interest who's in the market for real estate in your area, that if we do our job right, they're going to see that ad for that agent wherever they go for days on end, so that at the very end, at least, they can't say, I've never heard of that person. And in fact, I'm actually quite familiar with that person now. I don't know where. I may have met them before even.
Right.
That's what we do.
So does that help them compete with portals like the portals that exist online to search for real estate and other agents, or is it mostly against other agents? How does that help them compete in the really competitive real estate marketplace?
Depending on what stats you look at, I mean, the average person knows X number of real estate agents in their network.
Sure.
So, I mean, at some level now in this connected world, you're competing with a bunch of other people that you probably know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other agents that are in that same sphere with that individual. So again, the stat that really, I think, blew our minds when we started looking at this industry was that 70% of home sellers hire the very first agent they call. So while you'd like to think,
crazy.
While you'd like to think it's this incredibly competitive process where mom and pa are going to sit around and interview 20 agents at the kitchen table, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, they make up their mind, they call, and they're done because they're doing the research up front. The information is available. They're asking their neighbors for referrals. They're doing all the work. So you've got to be that person who gets the first call or you don't get called.
So what would you recommend agents do outside of retargeting, Adwerx, and that to expand that top of the funnel reach?
I think, again, this goes to that first question, which is how do you get started? What is your angle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I said, so maybe you need to sponsor the Little League team. Maybe you need to be present at the town fair. Maybe you need to be the person who always wears a red tie everywhere. Maybe you need to, I don't know, but once you define the audience you want to go after, how do you become omnipresent in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? In one way, shape, or form, and show that you're aligned with those people on some level other than I just want to sell your house, right? How do you show that you're aligned? I think there's lots of ways to do that offline. Online, we've talked about content marketing.
Right.
Some of the most effective direct mail pieces I get are the ones where the agents are sending out pieces about just sold in your neighborhood, or the comps, like your house, the home values are going up on the zip code, or because it's informational. It's valuable. I read it and I go, honey, that's interesting. Look, the neighbor's house is up 20% so that means we should go get a home equity loan and remodel or whatever.
Exactly.
But be valuable. Be valuable to the audience you're trying to target. And they will receive that value, and they will reciprocate.
Yeah, that's what we preach pretty much. Is that you have to give to get anything in the economy these days, and then tools like yours, tools like ours, help you then take all those people who know you and get them through this funnel into your CRM, through your CRM, and that entire process. So yeah, really smart stuff. Switching gears a little bit, I see you write a lot on, I guess, maximizing your day and maximizing your business life. What does a successful day look like for you or for an agent? You wrote a piece, I think it was on somewhere I found in researching this, and you were talking about like making sure you're planning your day for success. And I was wondering if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm actually not sure that I wrote that piece, but I can give you some thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you want to have a serious career, you need to be deliberate, and so decide what it is you're going to do. I always tell I mentor some other entrepreneurs, and I tell them, and I believe this to be absolutely true. Your success is going to be defined more about the things you say no to than the things you say yes to. Because as entrepreneurs, we're pulled in 10 different directions. We could build any product or any feature set. We could partner with all these different, everybody wants to do all this stuff. It really is about staying on course, always sailing to the horizon, knowing what that horizon is, even if you have to tack back and forth, but stay on target, and realize that you're going to have to say no to some stuff in order to meet your goals. If you're trying to be having a really successful career.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. Really taking to heart that saying no is oftentimes the best thing for that situation. Cool. Is there a favorite book you like to recommend to entrepreneurs, to realtors, or a book that you find yourself reading year after year?
Yeah. So I'm a behavioral economics geek.
Okay.
So I like Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely.
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's an interesting look at how human beings don't behave all that often in their own best interest, and the things that trip us up in life, and stuff. So it's a really interesting. I think it's a really.
Is there an example in that, like a quick anecdote, or is it?
He did so many experiments. I can't think of one off the top of my head, honestly.
Okay.
But it's a great book.
We'll link it up in the show and
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure everyone orders a copy of that. I know I'm going to. So that's great. So what's your life look like outside of the? It seems like you're this really driven business person who's taking things to millions and millions of users. But like, there's like, what's the driving motivation behind all that?
Actually at heart, I'm a family man. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
married. I have 3 daughters, and they pretty much I spend every second that I'm not at work with them. And they're the reason I go to work at all.
Right.
So I love being a dad.
Well, that's fantastic, Jed. Well, thanks for all of your knowledge. I hope this clarifies some of the whole content marketing myth that maybe some agents are trying to struggle with or find their way through that maze. You can find out more about Jed and AdWorks and everything at adwerx.com. Is there anything else they should go check out there while they're looking at your site?
I think we've got a lot of great content on these topics on our
Hmm.
blog. So adwerx.com/blog is the place, and we put up lots of really handy stuff that's tactical stuff that you can
Right.
use kind of on a day-to-day basis, as well as some stuff that's a little bit more strategic and maybe philosophical.
Right. Well, it's been excellent talking with you. I hope visitors go check that out. We'll link it up on the YouTube video and on the blog itself. But
Well,
great been getting to know you, Jed.
you too, Tyler. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.